Welcome to this introduction of the Windows Azure Distribution Bundle for Symfony2. Follow me to the documentation where we'll see a quick start that we will follow in this tutorial. To do this tutorial, you have to install a Windows version, you have to install the Windows Azure SDK, and you have to register a Azure test account. To start with this quick start, go back to the GitHub page of this project where you'll find a download section with all the code necessary to get this project working. Download the zip file named Symfony Azure Distribution, unzip it, and go into the Symfony folder where you will find the Symfony standard distribution along with additional code which is necessary to get Symfony working on Windows Azure. Now switch to the command line interface and run the PHP app console command for Symfony. You will see additional commands to the usual ones, which are explicitly for Windows Azure deployment. Call Windows Azure :init to initialize the project for Windows Azure. You will see some notes that you can follow further. Additionally, you should copy the remote desktop and the private key passwords to some file, because you need them later during deployment. Go back to the documentation of the Windows Azure Distribution Bundle now. The quick start has multiple steps that you should follow to get this demonstration working on Windows Azure. It contains information how to configure your SQL Server database, how to configure the Windows Azure table storage, and how to configure different other necessary configuration parameters, which are important to get this example working. I show you here the files that you have to change. The quick start has more information about what file has to be changed and what information has to be put there. When you have done all the necessary changes, you should switch back to the command line interface where you can call PHP app console Windows Azure :package to introduce the packaging step. The Azure Distribution Bundle will then use the Azure SDK to generate a packaging file. This can take 1 or 2 minutes and will end you up with 2 files which you can upload using the Windows Management Console. Open up your browser and switch to the management portal. Log in with your Azure account and create on the New Hosted Service button. You can now pick a name for your hosted project. For example, SF Packaging in my case. You can pick a URL where you can find this project. Pick a server region where you want the project to be deployed. Now select from the root of your project directory in the build directory the 2 files which were generated by the packaging command. This is the Azure 2 CSPack in this example and the service configuration file. You also have to click the Add Certificate button to add your remote desktop certificate. You can find it in the App Azure folder. You have to enter the private key here that you have written down before. Now the deployment of the application starts. You have to wait some minutes to get the application running. In my case, you already see the deployed application, and you've seen that you can click on the link to visit this application. The demo application is a simple task application where you can create tasks and delete them and see an event log of what's happened with all the tasks that you have. You can register your own account and then log in with the account into the application. The application uses SQL Server federations, which is a sharding feature implemented right in the database. And it's also using the Windows Azure table storage, which is sort of a NoSQL database within REST API. I show you here how you can create a task and you can look at the code to see how this interacts with the SQL Azure and the Windows Azure services.